All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're decoding the civil legal safety net. We're going to break down the extremely strict federal rules that decide who actually gets a free civil lawyer in America, and exactly how that whole process plays out on the ground.
You know that classic line from every cop show ever, you have the right to an attorney? Yeah, well, that's strictly for criminal cases. Today, we really need to ask a totally different question. How exactly do you qualify for a free lawyer when you're facing a life-altering civil case? I'm talking about things like a sudden eviction or a really complex family law dispute, because the reality is there isn't some automatic, guaranteed right to counsel in most civil matters. So the rules we're about to explore literally dictate who gets help and who has to go it alone.
So, here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, the civil justice gap. 2, federal rules of eligibility. 3, doing the poverty math. 4, exceptions to the rules. And 5, boots on the ground.
Okay, jumping right into part 1, the civil justice gap.
Before we even touch a calculator to do the math, we have to bust a pretty major myth right off the bat. Getting legal aid doesn't always mean you're getting a lawyer to stand up for you in court. Federal law actually separates this help into two very distinct tiers. On one side, you've got advice and counsel. Think of this as a quick legal checkup. You got some solid guidance on the law, but the attorney isn't going to draft your documents or, call up your landlord for you. But on the flip side is extended service. Now, this is the continuous representation, where a lawyer actually steps into a courtroom or an administrative hearing to actively defend you. Knowing this difference is absolutely critical. Just getting your foot in the door definitely doesn't guarantee you'll have a lawyer by your side when the gavel drops.
Moving right along to Section 2, Federal Rules of Eligibility.
Think of Title 45, Part 1611 of the Federal Code as, well, the strict financial bouncer at the club of the justice system. To get past that bouncer, you have to prove your income. But how is income actually defined here? The federal rulebook is hyper-specific. They are looking strictly at current annual total cash receipts before taxes. So your wages, unemployment checks, alimony, yep, it all counts. But they do gracefully ignore non-cash benefits. If you're getting food or rent instead of a standard paycheck, or maybe up to $2,000 of Native American trust distributions, the formula just ignores it.
Now here's the catch. After they check your income, they're going to check your financial ID for assets too. Under Part 1611, assets are defined as resources readily convertible to cash. But thankfully, the rules have some highly practical limits so they don't punish people for just trying to survive. They will completely exclude the primary roof over your head, the car you rely on to drive to work every day, and any assets you literally use to produce income. Basically, they really just want to know if you're sitting on a secret pile of cash that you could use to hire a private attorney.
Which brings us to Section 3, doing the poverty math.
Knowing those super strict definitions of income and assets, let's actually crunch the numbers for the 2026 federal guidelines. There is a very hard ceiling for standard eligibility here. To get federally funded legal aid, your income is capped at exactly 125% of the federal poverty guidelines. Let's put that in perspective. For a single person living in the lower 48 states in 2026, you cannot make more than $19,950 a year. Let that sink in. That's just a little over $1,600 a month. If you're a family of 4, the cap is $41,250. When you step back and look at that, it is an incredibly, shockingly low ceiling. Essentially, if you make a flat 20 grand as an individual, the standard rules say, hey, you're officially deemed capable of affording your own private lawyer.
All right, let's look at Section 4, Exceptions to the Rules.
Because let's be real, life doesn't always fit neatly into a federal spreadsheet, right? What if you're making 25 grand, but you are completely drowning in nursing home bills, or you're actively fleeing a dangerous abuser? Well, this is where the system finally bends for human reality. Legal aid directors can use a 3-step waiver process. If you fail Step 1, that brutal 125% limit, intake officers immediately move to Step 2 and look for specific hardships. Are your income prospects being crushed by unreimbursed medical expenses or nursing home costs? Are you seeking government benefits for a disability? If you tick these boxes, they can bump that eligibility ceiling up to 200% of the poverty line. So for an individual, that suddenly brings the limit up to nearly $32,000.
And there is one absolutely crucial exception here that we really need to highlight. Federal law explicitly states that if an applicant is a victim of domestic violence, the financial resources of their alleged abuser are totally ignored. I mean, completely. Even if your name is trapped on a joint bank account with your abuser, or they hold literally all the household assets, the intake officers will only look at what is genuinely available to you. This is a game changer. because it ensures that financial control cannot be used as a weapon to block victims from getting the legal help they so desperately need.
All right, final section, number 5, boots on the ground.
So we've navigated the federal funnel, we've crunched the math. How does this actually play out locally? How do organizations take these dense, dry regulations and turn them into real-world legal salvation? Well, because the demand is sky high and the math is so incredibly specific, we have these massive clearinghouses stepping in to guide people. Before a client ever even speaks to an attorney, centralized hubs like Law Help NY jump in. They provide a directory of over 600 free and low-cost legal service organizations across the state. They have a real-time chat service called Live Help and all these Know Your Rights self-help resources covering 11 different areas of civil law. They are basically the triage center for the justice system, helping people figure out if they even qualify before they spend hours making phone calls.
And once people actually get through that door, the volume handled by individual legal aid providers is honestly staggering. 7,691. That right there is the exact number of legal cases that just one single organization, Neighborhood Legal Services, managed to close across 5 counties in Western New York in 2025 alone.
This incredible team is taking those federal funds, working within those incredibly strict rules we just talked about, and providing totally free representation in some of the most critical areas of life. We're talking housing court evictions, family and divorce law, and crucial advocacy for people living with disabilities. Amazingly enough, they are the only provider of public benefits legal services in their entire area. This is not corporate litigation, folks. These are life-altering cases that literally keep roofs over heads and food on tables.
And it's really fascinating to see how this kind of community legal aid has evolved. I mean, it started way back in 1965 with just 4 small local offices in impoverished neighborhoods. Fast forward to 1974, the National Legal Services Corporation is created, and these groups united into Neighborhood Legal Services. Then look at recent years. In 2022, they launched the massive Eviction Prevention Project. And now, in 2025, they're actually partnering with the University at Buffalo's Access to Justice Clinic to place student attorneys directly inside federal courthouses for embedded clinics. It is a constant, ever-evolving fight for equal access.
But as we wrap up this explainer, we really need to take a step back and ask a tough question. We've navigated the strict federal math, we've looked at the waivers, and we've seen the unbelievable work happening on the ground. But if the absolute baseline for a single person to get a free lawyer is an income of just $19,950 a year, what exactly happens to the person making $21,000? With the financial bar set so incredibly low, who is falling through the cracks of the justice system, left totally alone to defend themselves in court? Honestly, it's a question we all need to be asking.